Before we even get started, I want to start off first thanking you for coming. Welcome back. And I want to give a thank you to really the folks who helped put this together. There's a lot of people behind the scenes doing work. So first of all, I want to thank Alfred Brown and the rest of the Laney catering crew. And we can wait for applause till the end. They set up the lunch and the breakfast. Laney Facilities, Canetta Barnett, gave me a golf tour of all the rooms. She's around here, she's back there. It was amazing. That's the only way to figure out Laney's rooms, is by golf cart. Amy Marshall and Derek Lee from the facilities office. From AV, we have Angel Hunter, Alejandro Acosta, Dale Nabetta, Jim Stein, and from Tech, Rupinda Bhatia. From the Office of Academic Affairs, Laura Leon Maurice, Damaris Carrillo, Constance Koo, and Violetta have been helping out in the back. And from PFT, we have Kayla, who's helped out, and Mike Moore from the copy room. The people who have really helped me think about professional development has been the PD chairs. So Jenny Yap, Chris Weidenbach, Sabine Sandhu, Tom Remberger, and Sean McDougall. We've done a lot of just thinking about what we really want to try to do. And I know PD days sometimes aren't the most exciting things, but I'm incredibly inspired by the work and the thinking that has gone into it, and I hope that we can begin to deliver some quality time together. Dr. Siri Brown has been a great kind of mentor and collaborator around this work too, so she's here. I'm helping think about all this. And my predecessors, Cleavon Smith and Miriam Zamora-Cantor, have been really helpful and kind of helped me understand the paperwork and everything. And I'm sorry if I've missed anyone. First of all, thank you for RSVPing. We had way more than I was expecting. There's like nearly 400 people who had RSVP'd, although they're not here. And I know some people actually RSVP'd like 3 times, because I was like looking down the list, I'm like, they're very hungry, they're getting 3 box lunches. So that means we were slightly, I don't know if the food to people ratio was really matched up well, so I apologize in advance if we run out of food. This morning, we're going to be rolling through the morning without a break. So if you need to take a bio break, just take one. But you may miss out on the raffles. We have some tremendous raffle prizes that we're going to be handing out in the middle and the end of this morning session. And some video watch. So I think that's a good amount of time of me chattering about logistics. First of all, my name's Scott Hoshida. The gender pronouns that I prefer are he and him. I'm an English faculty at Berkeley City College, and I'm an unafraid educator. If you haven't, I have this sheet out here, and this comes from the Immigrants Rising Project. We have a student panel, students from the Undocumented Resources, or Undocumented Community Resource Center speaking, and one of the packets that I found was this great piece that you can then put in your window. And a lot of people say, I want to leave from Flex Day with one thing that is very useful. Leave with this, right? Put your name on it, let's get it up, let's be in support of our undocumented students. So I want to leave that there. And I want to just say this is my 11th year as a faculty member, full-time faculty member. And I find it quite odd that I'm sitting up here and not up there, because usually I'm up there working on my syllabus. All right, I got some thumbs up, or my Canvas show. But I feel really lucky to be up here because I've had a chance to work with a lot of people across the district as a coordinator for the Faculty Diversity Internship Program, as a PFT rep. And I really think that what we wanted, after talking with the PD chairs, after doing some assessments, some of the things that we really want to do is to start connecting with each other a little bit. So we're going to do a quick warm-up, 3 minutes. I've been thinking a lot about the first days of school. My 5-year-old just started kindergarten on Monday, and that night I asked him, how do you feel about kindergarten? And he said he's both excited and a little nervous. And I feel like that ambivalence is something usually I feel up there, right? You're about to meet 150 students who you have to prove that you're smart as an instructional teacher, that you're likable, that you're going to be tough on them in a way that's useful to them. And that to me, like even though we're supposed to be super excited to start, it's actually kind of nerve-wracking to think about. And it's nerve-wracking to think about any first day. And so I want you to think about a first day. It could be first day at the job, first day at school, first day here. What does that first day feel like? Who do you lean on for support? And how does it feel to get that support? All right. I would love to hear just quickly some shouts from the crowd. How did it feel on the first day of whatever it is you're thinking about? Butterflies. Earthquake? 19, really? That's crazy. What other first day feelings? Anxiety. Self-doubt. Excitement. Confidence. So those are feelings I feel right now. It's my first day as SDO kind of MC. How does it feel to get support from somebody? Good. What else? Belief. We're in this together. What's that? Grateful. And those are feelings that hopefully that we have for each other, or those are feelings that we want to actually develop as a community, if we consider ourselves a community. And so I always like to think about this, and I was thinking about my kid. It's like he gave me a big hug, and we snuggled. And we can't really snuggle together, it's not appropriate. But we can think about those feelings as we're thinking about how we help each other through these first couple of weeks, as we try to think about how we even meet together. I know we have very challenging issues in front of us, things that we'll disagree on, but that doesn't mean that we aren't in community with each other in some way, shape, or form. And just that kind of is the theme today about working together and how we come to work together. We talked a lot about the assessments that were done last year at the Flex Day, and some assessments that I've sent out and that I'll continue to publicize. But really, people want to feel reconnected and inspired in some way. They want to leave with something practical, and you want to build on something from the past. And I've tried to design the day kind of with those things in mind.
All right. Good morning, everybody. My name is Richard Tholey, and I work as the District Admissions and Records Clerk. I'm honored and enthusiastic to represent our members as the SEIU 1021 Chapter President. The members of our union's chapter constitute the majority of classified staff throughout the Peralta Community College District. Next to me is our classified professional, Terrence Fisher. He's a network technician at the James Oliver Community Writing Center right here at Laney College. He also dedicates his energy and service to our members as the COPE coordinator for our SEIU 1021 Peralta chapter. Our union's local 1021 represents about 60,000 employees strong. And at Peralta, our permanent classified membership is above 90%. And in the last few months, our total membership has actually grown more than 10%. Nevertheless, public sector unions have been under attack for years by way of state legislation or Supreme Court decision, and membership has declined in many places, even where unions continue to represent teachers and other public sector workers. All unions need to work collaboratively now more than ever. At Peralta, we have PFT, Local 39, and SEIU 1021. And I believe we must commit to strengthening our alliance as fellow union members, fighting for better pay, working conditions, and benefits. As union members and as colleagues, we must continue to support each other and move forward together with mutual respect and professional courtesy. In this same spirit of mutual respect and practicing professional courtesy, I urge that managers and administrators, faculty and staff work together with the focused intent to help address and solve some of the new and long-standing issues plaguing Peralta. I welcome all of us, the Chancellor, our Board of Trustees, faculty, administrators, and classified staff to work together to inform, question, and help resolve those same issues, and exemplify the integrity that befits an educational institution by practicing mutual respect and professional courtesy. Thank you.
Good morning, everyone. My name is Robert Tracy, and I'm the Classified Senate President of the greatest college in the nation, Laney College. I'll be very brief. I think Richard pretty much said everything that needed to be said. Just understand that now is the time for all of us to come together. This should be an idea and a movement of one team, one dream, and a united Peralta, once and for all. Thank you.
Hi, everybody. I am not Jennifer Shanowski, our fearless union president. She is much taller than I am. And she's also much smarter and fiercer than I am. I'm just a little old counselor from College of Alameda. I do have skills. I'm very good at Zumba and karaoke. These skills are going to prove useless in this welcome address. However, if I start to tank, could you just cue the music, okay? And you're gonna see me shine, okay. So let's get started on the welcome address, because this is a this is a doozy, this one. I'm gonna tell you about what's been happening, and I'm gonna tell you about what we're going to be doing, because this is a very pivotal semester. And let's start with that Supreme Court decision. And boo! Okay, let's put this in context, right? Heart and soul of all unions is collective bargaining. It's when we, as a union, sit down with the district and negotiate for better wages and working conditions. And you know that. What you may not know is that we, as a bargaining unit, negotiate for all faculty, and that's by law. We must represent union members and non-union members alike. And you probably can figure out, collective bargaining is very expensive. So, how do we pay for that? Well, faculty members who are union members pay dues. And up until this summer, non-union members would pay what was called fair share fees. And this was to help the union cover the cost of the benefit that the non-union members were incurring. That ended. That ended this summer with the Janus decision. The Janus decision said that while the union is still legally responsible to represent all faculty members and all unit members in the collective bargaining, and this includes protection of the contract through grievances and grievance hearings, non-union members are no longer responsible to pay for any of that cost through the fair share fee, right? So let's be clear. This has been posed as a free speech issue. This is not a free speech issue. This was a case that was brought by very well-funded institutions that have ties to corporate lobbyists, powerful corporate lobbyists, for the sole reason of union busting. We saw this coming. PFT and the other unions, we saw this coming, and a year ago we started a union drive, and we started a membership drive, and we knew we had to engage our membership, to talk to everybody, to remind us all what it is we gain by being a part of a union, and by asking our faculty to recommit to the union through a renewed membership form that looked like this. This summer, it continued. We were at campuses, we were walking classrooms, we were calling, we even did home visits. Yeah, home. Ladies and gentlemen, I share with you that when this Janus decision was decided, we already had 85% of our faculty who had agreed to stand strong with the union. This is a miracle. Other campuses they can't believe what we managed to do. And so I am happy to share with you that we're not done, that last 15%, if we haven't gotten to you, please see the table out front. We're also asking that everyone stand in solidarity, wear your buttons, be union strong, because we at Peralta, we are union strong. Next, this summer, we needed to be union strong because we wasted no time in translating that renewed energy into action. During the summer, over 30 students and faculty attended the summer summer Board of Trustee meetings to speak loudly against the proposed budget cuts that we all heard about as we were leaving for the summer. Lo and behold, we all returned to campus with the news that many of the cuts had been rescinded. So we're counting this as a win. Woohoo. And we're grateful to everyone who answered that call to stand up. Speaking of the budget, looking at other work we've done with work to the future, the district is going to be going out for 2 measures in the November election, a bond measure and the parcel tax extension. Now, as you know, PFT has been very vocal about our concerns regarding how that parcel tax money has been spent. And this summer, we've been in a lot of conversations with the district about accountability for future parcel tax dollars. We're very hopeful that the commitments that we've received from the district regarding that money going to the classroom will come to fruition. And it's up to us to hold them accountable. Continuing with the November election and continuing what we're going to be doing going into the fall, there's a lot going on, including the 2 measures. We have 3 Board of Trustees who are up for election. As you know, and I just want to be really clear, your union dues are not used for political purposes. For this, we have an organization called COPE, and many of you are members of COPE, and that is our political arm. And COPE's going to be really active doing political organizing this fall. I hope that you respond to the call for canvassing and phone banking and even maybe a bus trip or 2. At 2:30 today, COPE is going to be having a meeting, and I hope you join us, especially if you're interested in political action. Looking at the, pardon? Do you have a little piece of paper? I know, I don't know. I'm saying, do you have a little piece of paper? I don't know. I think it's here at Laney. E202A. Thank you. I feel so supported right now. Okay, so last I want to talk about what we're going to be doing, and that is we have contract negotiations coming up. Even with the parcel tax and the bond measure in place, Peralta's budget situation is no doubt dire. And this brings us back to the collective bargaining. This is tough to say, especially for a little old counselor like me. So I am going to channel the fierceness and fearlessness of Jennifer Shanowski. Maybe I'll get a little Siri in here too. And I'm going to say it, because it has to be said. It's going to be really tough, and I'm going to keep it real. Negotiations are going to be difficult as long as the district pleads poverty. We are convinced, we have seen the numbers. We are not a poor district, but we do know this. We have an increasingly large and very well-paid district administration staff that relies heavily on expensive contractors that are outside of the shared governance process. So we need to be strong together to hold our administration accountable in these upcoming contracts. We think that there are wins to be had, and we know what's at stake. We are increasingly reliant on a part-time staff, a part-time faculty that is many underpaid. They do not have the benefits they deserve, nor the job security they deserve. We think there are wins to be had, and we will be calling upon all of you to stand together, full-time, part-time, and classified professionals together to hold our district accountable and to get the wins that we know we deserve in this faculty thing. Thank you. Was that good? Was I fierce? Felt fierce. Okay, now here's the good part. Now here's the part where I invite you to a beverage. Once again, PFT will be hosting Welcome Back Faculty Happy Hours, and at the good old College of Alameda, if the classified professional would like to join, I'm happy to pick up the tab for you too. Watch your email for invitations. We'll also be sending you an announcement about chapter meetings and general meetings at each of the campuses throughout the semester, as well as other events for you to get involved in your invigorated, active, and strong union. Thank you, and have a great semester.
Buenos dias. Mary did some good channeling of Mary, didn't she? Big hand. I'm going to channel Mario Rivas, Young Thug from North Oakland. Okay, that's me. Well, that's not me anymore, but I was. I'm now the Senate President in my 4th year. I'm retiring this year, big time. And I'm the Senate President of Merritt College, one of the 4 beautiful colleges. You know, big, BC. We're all together one, right? We're all together one. The Senates have a district academic senate to try to create unity among the Senates. Each of the Senates is meant to empower faculty to assert the 10+1 voice given by state law. One of the big ones, program planning and budget development. This summer, yesterday we had our first Senate plenary at Berkeley City College. It was very well attended. It was very powerful to increase leadership and strong voices of faculty in the district to make our colleges better for our communities. That's what it's about. That's the basic thing. So I just want to hit some big things. First of all, I want to recognize our presidents, Fred Burgoyne, who is the new Senate President at Laney College. Is Fred here? Thank Donald Moore, who is the outgoing Senate President at Laney College, for all the work, and he's going to continue, hopefully, with the District Academic Senate. Rochelle Olive from Alameda College, Senate President, and Kelly Purnell, Berkeley City College. Can I please have senators from the colleges stand up? Senators on the academic senates from the colleges, could you please stand? Let's give them a big hand. Okay. Faculty leadership. The plenary was about faculty leadership. I want to talk about some specific issues. Day before yesterday, I went to a planning meeting for the PBIM, which is the shared governance body for the district, and the district academic senate, the academic senates are asserting a strong voice within shared governance to make it shared. It needs to be shared. Everybody, you hear me? It needs to be shared, and we will assert that. Presidents, listen to it. College presidents, vice presidents, deans, everybody, we need to have shared governance. Specifically, let me tell you why. At that meeting, strategic goal setting. We didn't affirm, our district didn't affirm our strategic goals last year. We talked about it all year. Why haven't we affirmed them? We didn't assess them for the previous year. We're now assessing last year. And this Friday, we're going to set our new strategic goals for the district. And they should come out of our strategic goals from the colleges. We need to have faculty there at that meeting, because we need to assert our voice in planning related to student success, to student access, equity, you name it. We need to do it. So that's going to be an important thing. Each of the senates will be defining their goals for this year. We should be looking at the big issues, guided pathways. We are doing guided pathways, okay? It's not a matter of debate now. We're doing it, but we're doing it to empower student success. We're not just doing it to do it. And so let's get faculty involved in leadership. The 4 pillars, one of the big ones, ensuring that learning is happening in the classroom, using data. We have to, and this is another reality. I'm retiring so I can talk more liberally. Administrators, we know the reality of it. I was an administrator for 7 years at BCC. Administrators come and go, right? Who doesn't come and go? Faculty and classified staff. We need to assert our voice by organizing ourselves, our thoughts, our ideas, and plan with administrators. I'm not talking about dog administrators. I'm not talking about doing administrators in. Working with administrators, asserting our voice to make sure that the theme that goes like Scott here is developing with professional development, the theme that goes forward is a community theme, not some theme that we give to administrators, right? Come on, bigger head than that. AB 705, we need to be involved in that. We need to be involved in integrated planning each of the colleges. We need to be involved in distance ed. Whoa! Because we're not doing a good job in distance ed. So who needs to put it together? Faculty, administration, classified students. That's the common voice. But we as faculty have the 10+1 by law. We need to assert it. I challenge and support and love each one of you to get together at your colleges, join your senates. Come on, we need to make our senate stronger and use our voice to challenge the chancellor. Where is he? There he is. Challenge the chancellor, to challenge the presidents, to challenge everybody, but challenge ourselves. That's the bottom line. Challenge ourselves to be powerful. Buenos dias, and move forward this year.
Can we give another hand to our shared governance leadership for the inspiring messages? Thank you for your leadership and your service. I'd like to, the next part is the Chancellor's address, so I'd like to invite Chancellor Joel Laguerre to come up to give a few words. Let's give him a hand. Thank you for coming up.
Well, good morning, everyone. Okay. May I have, so Scott, I have plenty of time left, right? 40 minutes? Is it? Yeah, it's about 30 minutes, right? 26? Yeah, 26. I had to negotiate time with them. I'd like to ask all of our new faculty to please stand so we can see you. New faculty to join us. Thank you. Thank you, and be seated. So glad to have you with us. Any new administrators from our colleges and district office? And any new classified staff members with us? They are working. Yeah, okay. Yeah. Let's applaud them anyway. So on the announcement, you saw that there is communication with the district this afternoon at 4 o'clock. It's actually set up as a budget hearing. This will be a time when the district office is going to share. Dr. Icaro, where are you going? Is our sergeant here? Oh, you're going to get him. Okay. Because I needed you for the next part. We will be sharing the budget with you. This is the first time that we're doing it since I've been chancellor, so that more of you would know what the budget is about and be able to ask questions before we present the budget to the board to be approved. I want to assure you that we are very committed to working with our shared governance process, as Mario so clearly indicated that we have no choice but to do that. But we really want to make sure that this coming year and hopefully years after that, we can really all work together to transform Peralta in what we all want it to be. Hearing Richard's word this morning from SEIU gave me a lot of comfort in that we have the leadership of our unions as well as shared governance as you heard from all of them, to really work together and make Peralta a much better place, a place that we can all be happy to be. This is not part of my presentations, but one of the things that I want to let you know is that we do have a new funding formula, and you will learn about it this afternoon when you go to the budget hearing. That is really challenging the state of California, all of our community colleges. There are a lot of community colleges that are doing very well with the new funding formula, and there are some that are hurting. In the Bay Area, in the Bay 10, Peralta happens to be one that is not hurting as much as the other colleges are. Most of the other colleges receive the COLA. Peralta was able to do a little bit better than the COLA. So that if you heard the news of things getting better, is because when we heard from the state what our budget will be, it was much better than we had anticipated. And then sometimes they say it's better to be lucky than to be good, or some like that we say in English. I made a decision last year for us not to claim the summer FTES that we had earned during the summer, and to use it instead for the current year. Many things transpired since then, and it became very challenging. But as the state introduced this new formula, it ended up being a major blessing for us, because we are able to use these FTS that we didn't claim last year, not only for this year, but also for next year and the year after. So that is one of the reasons why our budget has gotten much better than we had anticipated that it was going to be. So you have the video, and if you could go to the next slide, Scott. We had some resource conversations last year, March 2008. Several of us went through all of the colleges to talk about, to hear from you the different needs that exist within the colleges. And so with that process, the next slide, we gathered ideas that you all shared, and we're very happy with that. Sharon Cornu went back to the colleges and shared what we have heard from all of you. We heard needs that exist in facilities, information technology, systems planning, and leaders and departments from across the district really now will be asked to come together to quantify, now that we've identified what the needs are. And we're not done, because I think there are several needs that have not been identified. There are some that personally I have spoken with the faculty about. For example, parity for part-time faculty was not part of on that list, but something we want to consider, something we need to work toward. For employees who were with us before July 1, 2004, there is lifetime healthcare benefits, but for the ones who came after that, there is not that. That's something we do want to consider. And so we do have a lot to put together so that we can really determine what the needs of the district are, and we're going to continue to do that work. So overall, we received almost 900 ideas for resources, so we do have a lot to work on. And then from that, for the next slide, you're going to see some of what we heard: staffing levels, systems and structures, training, professional development, culture and values, and I think that resonates really well with what we heard this morning from shared governance. New funding sources, budget allocation for the colleges, communications, And there is also, there was quite a bit of conversations as well in terms of the district office budget, so we heard that as well. And this summer, as I met with our PFT colleagues, we talked about that and have plans to really take all of those into considerations. So if you look at the next slide, you're going to see that there are quite a few great ideas that have come up, and we intend to use those in order for us to move forward. So we want to thank everyone who participated in the exercise. Want you to know that we're going to move forward with quantifying what these ideas are going to cost us, and then set out to establish what partnerships we can have to help us meet those needs. The next set of slides that I'm sharing with you are really things that we have to consider when we look at the new environment we have at our colleges. The state of California has, the legislature has passed different laws that ask us to really consider the gender equity for our faculty and our staff, and it's important that we become really knowledgeable about them. While I'm not going to spend a lot of time speaking about them, when we had training this past Friday, I made the commitment to the administrators and encourage them to do everything that they can so that we can all become knowledgeable about what the new laws are and the protections that are provided for our faculty, staff, and students. And so you'll see some new definitions or definitions that are part of the laws that's important for us to know. And I will make sure not only that your presidents and administrators share this information with you, but we'll also include them in C-Direct that you can all have and make sure that you have the right information. The next slide talked about preferred names and pronouns, and I think that's one that for our work environment as well as our classroom, that's really, really critical for us to pay attention to. So we must honor the request for our employees to identify themselves by the preferred gender, name, or pronoun. And so we need to do that. The legislature asks that we do that as employers, but as faculty, staff, as we serve our students, we also need to make sure that faculty and staff honor our students with the same consideration. An employee may wish to change from using she, her, hers to he, him, his, or vice versa. A student will choose to do the same, and we need to be aware of that and honor that for our students. And an employee may request to be addressed by gender-neutral pronouns, such as the singular they, them, their. And so the same thing applies to our students when it comes to the classroom. Again, your presidents and administrators will talk more about those. And some employees may request to be addressed by their name only and by no pronouns at all. And some students will request, may want the same thing. So we want to make sure that we honor our students as we need to honor our faculty and staff the same way. At the end of the day, it is really about respect and creating an environment where all of our faculty, staff, as well as our students, feel that they are honored with what they determine for themselves. So it's important for us to really pay attention to that. And I want, by focusing on it today, I want you to know that from the board and from myself, we are very committed to that, and we invite you to be committed to having a work as well as a learning environment that are free of bias and that are supportive of our faculty, our staff, and our students. Thank you, and I very much look forward to continuing to work on that. The next one, district office administrators is a topic that people have talked about and have said a lot of things about. And I, from time to time, you know, it's, if I spend my time defending everything that's not correct about statements that people make, I wouldn't have time to do anything else as a chancellor. So I've chosen often to remain quiet and hoping that people will know that there is probably something else going on. But today I wanted to share with you, and I'm going to send this to you as well so you can look at it and verify it yourself and all of that. I wanted to share with you just a couple of slides on the administration from the district office I inherited and the one that, that is currently in place for 2018-2019. One of the challenges that we have in general within our administration, and as Mario Rivas, who's going to retire, shared, the administration changes a lot more often than the faculty and the staff. So as we look at the charts, people change all the time. As a matter of fact, we have last Friday, I received the resignation of somebody, an administrator from the district office. So what I share with you will change, but we are determined to keep it updated. That first one is there? Okay, so in 2014-15, there was a chancellor, Ortiz, and then 18-19, we still have somebody named Laguerre, as you saw there. So if you go on down the line, so there was a deputy chancellor. I changed that to a chief of staff. Actually, we decreased the salary for that person. And currently the position is vacant because, as you may remember, Yashika Crawford was our chief of staff, and she left us to become a faculty member instead at College of Moraine, where she's doing exceptionally well, and we have not replaced that position. But then if you look at finance, still finance, and HR, still HR. And by the way, speaking of HR, our wonderful Trudy Largent retired. We miss her. But we are very happy to have Ms. Whitaker with us. The position that you see that we put eliminated here was a new one that we knew was not going to be permanent. It was the Vice Chancellor, Executive Vice Chancellor for Partnership and Outreach. It was a position that we knew it either was going to be self-funded or that wasn't going to exist for a long time, so that position is not there. So if you look at from 14-15, that's one that we did carry for 2 years, that's no longer there. And then the rest of them are pretty much the same or have been eliminated. One of the things that I tried to do as much as I can, go to the next slide, that I try to do as much as I can is to reallocate positions instead of new ones. So as you look at the positions from wherever they were, you will see that there could be a different title that, as opposed to the one that you had before, but pretty much the names remain the same. Now, after I shared this with, with my faculty colleague, I love my faculty colleagues, they then said, no, well, yeah, you probably didn't add a lot of people. Because I kept thinking, I don't know that I've added that many people. I keep counting my people, they keep remaining the same. They said, no. The salaries have increased by a lot. And then I was struck with a number that at one point before I came, we were spending $700,000, and now we're spending $1.3 million. And I know that the figure is not correct, but I'm going to work with our faculty colleague so we can fix that. So I want you to know that we do want to make sure, and that's a commitment, I think that is a state law, that we spend 50% of our, at least 50% of our funding on instruction. We're very committed to that, and we will continue to do everything that we can to be committed to that. But as I interacted with my PFT colleagues over the summer, it was only one time, we promised to meet again. But as we interacted, we do want to make sure that we make things as clear as possible. And where we need to make adjustments, if somehow we need to cut the number of administrators so we can increase number of faculty, we are determined to work on that, but to work on it together. It is fairly easy to say to the chancellor, we'd like for you to do this, but it is a little bit more difficult for us to come together and do that. And I think, again, Richard's message this morning, as well as Mario Rivers's and Mary's, where's Mary? To a great extent, too. You were great, by the way. I have 1 minute left. Really ask us to sit down and work together. I believe that if, as Peralta, I believe, especially with the new funding formula, if we come together, we are going to be a force to reckon with. And then I'll mention one more thing. Jennifer Shanowski came to me and showed me, and then she keeps talking about it every time I see her, that our salaries for faculty is 72nd out of 72 districts. So we want, it's one that I said, let's commit ourselves together to make sure that we solve it. Let's not just leave it to one person, according to Mario, who may not be here forever, but let's really commit as a faculty, as a staff, to address this issue, and you have my commitment for that. Thank you very much. Have a wonderful academic year.